Hi, everyone, and welcome to the RodeoKids Podcast. I am your host, Camarie, Roorda, and we hope that your summer has been phenomenal so far. If you are pro rodeo and amateur rodeo and you guys have been burning up the trail, those of you who are still in that youth stage, we've got the junior high finals wrapped up, the little britches, the IFYR, those are all in the books, and the high school finals is going on right now. So we are in the heat of rodeo season. Cowboy Christmas is over, and you're probably either at that place where you have been on cloud nine and things have been aligning for you. And that is awesome. I hope you take that feeling and you hold on to that and you carry it and you make notes about it and you remember what that feeling feels like. It's just such an amazing time when you can be up on that mountain and you can just feel what hard work paying off feels like. It's just amazing and it can't be replaced. For those of you who are on the flip side of that, where maybe you're struggling and things aren't quite going well, this podcast is for you. Today, we have a vulnerable, honest, open, such a truthful podcast with Victoria Procter, who is out on the rodeo trail, chasing her gold buckle dreams, going for that Rookie of the Year in the WPRA, and she just shares the struggle. She shares the highs and the lows and the mindset battles and all of the crazy things that go with it. And so today's podcast is just awesome. She talks about how she's making it through those tough times when she's out there by herself, beating up the road and struggling with her horse a little bit and just trying to keep moving forward in a time that it's pretty tough for her right now so that she can finish this year strong, because she's just kind of been in a, I'm not going to say a slump because we don't really believe in slumps here, but she's been in a very learning season where things are a little muddy and she is figuring out how to just pull herself through. So this podcast is just awesome. It's full of rich nutrition that is going to be so relatable. Maybe you're not there right now. Maybe, again, you are on that cloud nine and you are doing great. Maybe things are going pretty good for you, but if you're like the majority of people at this point in time in the year, because there's only so many spots in the winner's circle, this podcast is going to help you pull through. It's going to give you that hope. It's going to make you want to stay on the road and keep chasing those gold buckle dreams. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Kalli McCoy, our team leader in viewing WPRA professional barrel racer and on the hunt for the Rookie of the Year title and those gold buckle dreams at the Thomas and Mack, Victoria Procter.
Changer, history maker, world changer, history maker.
Welcome to the RodeoKids.com podcast, where we empower youth to be their best selves through the values and traditions of the rodeo and Western lifestyle.
You've been on here before, but reintroduce who you are and tell us where you are currently.
My name is Victoria Procter. I'm in the rookie race for the WPRA barrel racing. Currently, I'm in a little town in Colorado, just resting up for the weekend before Cheyenne and the Salt Lake City semifinal.
So where have you been lately? What rodeo have you been hitting?
So for the 4th of July, I hit about 6. Didn't have very much luck. I did all right. Pulled a few checks. Just not how I wanted. My mare got sick after Casper, the college finals, which was mid-June. So I had to get off of her for Reno, which kind of sucked. And she had 2 weeks off, so we were kind of get back in the groove for the 4th of July. The break helped her a lot, but just kind of put us back a few weeks. We went to like Oakley, I think Red Lodge, Mandan, Belfouche, Cody, and Livingston over the 4th. Pulled checks at a half of them. Then after that, we went to Vernal and Estes Park. I pulled a check at Vernal, no good at Estes Park. Then came back up for Casper, Sheridan, and the Salt Lake City qualifying rounds. I did all right at Sheridan, just, luck wasn't on my side. Didn't just right out of a check. I made the semifinals at Salt Lake City, which would be this week. And then tough luck at Casper. So I came to a friend's house in Colorado. It was rough mentally. So I, had a breakdown, convinced Tammy to fly out here and just help me regroup for a few days. I dropped her off at the airport last night. We rode 4 times. We got together. We regrouped. We made a plan. So I'm feeling a little better about the next few that I'm entered in. I have Cheyenne tomorrow, then Salt Lake City in May, then Nampa, and then from there depends on how good I do.
That's good. Wow. So how long have you been on the road?
So I left May 31st. I pulled out of Texas. We went to about 5 rodeos. We rodeoed kind of like around and up to Canada for the qualifier. We went, like, we had one in Texas, one in Arkansas, a few in Oklahoma. Then we went to Kansas. That's where I got my first pro rodeo win. It was like straight sloppy mud in Kansas, which is what I love. And then we drove basically the whole way up to Canada for the qualifier. I had ground trouble at Canada, but my hauling partner, Sydney Graham, made Calgary, which was super fun. And then I came back. So yeah, May 31st. So almost 2 months.
How did you go about packing to be gone for an extended amount of time?
You know, it was just me winging it. I mainly just packed the horses' stuff, like tried to get I loaded as much feed as I could because I had to switch feeds when I got up here. I loaded, like, I sweater legs, I packer feet, I poultice. So I made sure I had all of that, and like jugs for like if I need to hydrate her with IV. We just stocked up. And then for me, my mom said I packed too many clothes. She's like, you're taking up too much room in the trailer. But you know, you never know when you can get to a washing machine up here. But I don't know. I didn't really have a game plan. I just kind of threw it all together and figured it out along the way. And luckily I haven't been too, you know, I've had everything I've needed so far. Or if I didn't, I got it from a vet or from a friend, something like that.
Was there anything you wish you would have brought, like, from home?
I wish I would have packed more sweet tea, because that is hard to get up here, and that is like what I run off of. You know, I wish I would have gotten with my vet and packed more meds for my horses. I mean, obviously I didn't know Bunny was going to be sick, but I didn't have quite everything I needed to get her over that. But there hasn't been too much that I've just been like, dang, if I would have just brought that from Texas.
Is there anything that's been like a true lifesaver on the road that you brought?
Well, an impact wrench for sure. I haven't had too many tire troubles, but we did have to pull a tire off the other day off of Sydney's truck. Like a big old rock got stuck between her dual tires. And had we not had that impact wrench, it would have been awful, because it was my phone overheated. Like, I just set it on the bed of the truck, and my phone, when I picked it back up like 2 minutes later, it was overheated. So it's not Texas hot. I'm not going to say it's hot up here, but it was hot enough that I didn't want to be on the side of the road, you know, using a 4-way to change a tire. That has been a game changer. I feel like you cannot leave without that.
I think that when it comes to impact wrenches, it doesn't matter how far you're going. If you got a trailer, you need to have one of those.
Exactly. And jacks, like, I keep it in the back seat of my truck and I plug it in and it stays right there. And like that, it doesn't matter if you're going to a jackpot 15 minutes away. That is a necessity.
Yes, I always tell dads if they want to get their daughters something, like especially when they're going off to college rodeo, like, daddies, get your daughters an impact wrench and teach them how to use it, because they're going to need it. And even if they don't know how to use it and you at least get them one, men are more likely to help your daughters change their tire if you got power tools involved.
Yes. And they're pretty easy. I know when my dad got it for me, I'm like, what? Like, that's not really what I wanted for my birthday. But yes, I did. And I really appreciate it. And then on the horse aspect, this is going to sound a little, I am not sponsored by Oxygen, but I am like a firm believer in their focus. Like, I would rather have that than, I would rather like borrow a bit than not have focus. Like, that is number one for Bunny. She gets that every single run, and not having that just kind of throws us off a little bit, because she is a little hot, and I am a firm believer in that product, and I keep that stocked up in my trailer.
Cool. Have you discovered any packing hacks? while being gone?
I wish I could say yes. You know, I went through it's nice when it's just me in the trailer because I have more room for everything, but it's also, you know, you're alone. So when Sydney gets in with me, we just we don't have the best storage in my trailer for people or really for horses. So we pop down the bunk bed and we use that as a shelf. I mean, that's a hack, but I know a lot of people that have a bunk bed use that. And then in my trailer, I just get like, I don't even know what they're used. They're just like the bins with the lids on it for like my Furzin, my stuff to sweat, my stuff to pack. Nothing really special. I wish I had better answers, but I'm still a rookie that's trying to figure it out.
Exactly. So switching over to like the mental side, how do you feel mentally? Is the road wearing on you?
Oh man. I'm gonna be honest, when you texted me that day, it was like the worst. I looked at the text and I was like, I'm not gonna say no, because you know, if I have a platform, I want to like preach about what God's done to me and, you know, reach as many people as I can. But it was like, and it sounds dramatic, but it was just like everything had just worn me down to the point of I was driving home that day. Like I was headed to Texas and my truck broke down. And so I had to stop in Colorado, or I had to leave. I had to get everything figured out and find a place in Colorado to fix my truck. And then I didn't have enough time to get to Texas and come back up for Cheyenne. And so like after Salt Lake City, I called Tammy like in tears. I was like, I cannot do this. I'm not tough enough. I'm not riding good. My horse isn't working good, just everything. And she's like, well, let's come home. Let's regroup. We will get a better like game plan, mental, everything, and go back up. And I'm like, well, if I come home, I'm not going back up. And I was just like, I just had the worst. I was just so negative. And then the next day I was like, you know what? I'm going to run at Casper and then I'm going to drive 18 hours to Texas. I have 5 days until Cheyenne. I'll get 3 days in Texas, 2 to 3 days in Texas. Then I'll come back up for Cheyenne. We'll see how it goes. And so I had that whole plan and I texted Tammy. I'm like, okay, I'm going to need you for these 3 days. And then I get in my truck and I just have issues. No one, Casper could help me. No one, like the closest that would be willing to help me right then and get me on the road was in Fort Collins, a great dealership. So I went there the next day. I left at like 3 a.m. to get there when they opened. I dropped my horses off at a great family, the Whalerts in Colorado. And then they fixed me up within like probably 5 or 6 hours. And I had called Tammy after that truck had broke down. And I was like, well, now everything's perfect for me to come home and to call it quits. But now I don't want to. I'm like, I wanted it to be on my terms. I wanted to decide that I was coming home because of how my horse was and how I was riding, but not because of my truck. She's like, oh my God, Victoria, you are just being a girl right now. I'm like, you know what? I am. Why would I want to go home to 110 degrees weather? And so I think I had enough mental breakdowns that she was like, okay, I will come. I'll fly out to Denver. We'll get 2 days. We did 2 days on the horses, which, I mean, the most you can really do on Bunny is walk. So she walked for about 2 days straight. Tammy got on her, fixed her up, and I learned everything on the colt that, you know, doesn't even really go to the right, but she went to the right for those 2 days. And I think that was just a good, mentally, I could get back where I think I needed to be. And then, you know, it was good. We had 2 days of not rodeos. She had been telling me for like a week, you've got to get out of your head. You've got to go play putt-putt, go watch a movie, go do your laundry, go read a book. And I'm like, that's not fixing me. That's not fixing me in the arena. I want to get on my horse and I want to tune her up, but I don't know how, because this is just, she's not running like she ever did. And I can keep her together in Texas, but when you get out here, it's just big, wide open, no fences, barrels in the middle of nowhere, 10 miles to the first. And it is just different. And so I think even if Tammy didn't do anything but walk the barrels and didn't even explain anything, I think I just would have felt better about more confident, but we talked about it. We explained it. We went through my bits. We just had like a 2-day rundown course of just getting me back together. And I feel so much better about the next month, because it was rough for like a whole week. I was just crying all the time. I'm like, I'm not tough enough. My horse, we just aren't supposed to be out here.
That's really nice to hear coming from someone on like a whole other level of like, because I mean, as a high school kid, I've been in slumps and I've wanted to just throw my sucker in the dirt and like, I can do this. I'm not high enough caliber to compete here. But
I mean, that's exactly how I felt. I had a magazine call me and interview me, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, but I'm just like at the worst mental state right now. So I don't want to sound negative, but I don't think that it is fair to the people listening, the people that want to do this in the future, to think it's all, sunshine and rainbows. Because for a little bit, I didn't even remember what colors were in the rainbow. And it wasn't even like everything was falling. Like, I wasn't having trailer issues. My horse was healthy again. And I knew what it was like to have 2 weeks of like being worried about my horse. And so it was just like, mentally, I felt like the devil just had me in a chokehold and was just like telling me I wasn't good enough. I was like, my horse can't do it out here. Like, we're only good in the small pens, and, I can't adjust my riding quick enough for this. And it was just like every negative thought that you could have, I was having it. Like, no confidence. And I come out here so confident. Like, I thought, man, she's going to love this and we're going to do great. And it's just going to be a great summer. And I feel dumb for ever even thinking that.
You talked about how having Tammy fly out and really just reset everything. I think that speaks a lot about who you surround yourself with.
Yes, for sure. Because you're not alone out here. But when I was in a rig by myself for about a week and a half, because Sydney went to Calgary, and I just felt alone. I'm like, everyone I'm talking to, they feel the same way as I do. Like, I have talked to all these rail racers and they're like, I want to go home. Doesn't matter if they're winning or losing. Like, but I was like, I'm homesick, but I don't want to go home. I just want to be up here and I'm winning and I want to win. I don't want to be up here and I don't want to lose. And so I called Tammy the other day and I was like, are you ready to delete my number yet? She's like, no, it's fine. I remember my rookie year and how awful it was. And just, you just have to get through this 1 year, and it's not going to be easier, but at least you're going to have, like, I'm going to know not to drive down the gorge, or not to go, when you go from Vernal to Estes Park, there's an awful park in Colorado that they'll tell you you'll just come out of your trailer crying once you drive through it. And so I'm learning that. And, I'm learning that I need to have a better mental game to even leave Texas with. But, you've got to have people that you can surround yourself that, you can cry to, but when you're done crying, they're going to be like, all right, you can't cry your way out of this. You've got to fix it.
Mm-hmm. One thing, as you're talking about, you made the comment that you got to have a better mental game when you leave Texas. But at the same time, you don't have no idea what kind of mental game it takes until you're in it. No. And one of the that I've really, I actually personally hired a mental performance coach for myself, because I've just kind of felt like I've been struggling myself. And I thought, other sports in every aspect have something like this. They have people for their brains, they have people for their bodies, they have people for the strategy. They've got this huge support system that is right by their side 24/7, cooking their food, cleaning their house. I mean, and in rodeo we don't have that. And so just trying to do what I can to set that up. And so anyway, I hired this guy, and I have weekly meetings with him. And one of the things the last couple of weeks that he's really kind of hit home for me is he said he's been reading this book. I think it's called The Gap in the Game. Mm-hmm. And it talks about how so often we focus on the gap, where we're at and where we wish we were. And there's this gap, and there's always going to be that gap, because where we want to be is always changing as we grow. But if you focus on the game, then you can see how far you've come and like how many lessons you've already learned, and you know where you started last year to where you are this year. And if you focus on just a little bit of progress every single time, like, no, I haven't roped cows very well, my horse has been really inconsistent, but I have gotten to where I'm in control of my runs instead of letting my fear of what my horse is going to do control them. Like now it's like, okay, my horse did that, but I know I did the right step. And so focusing on that progress and focusing on how much I've gained in my mental game, even though I'm not seeing the outcome quite yet, it's just really helped change my mindset this last couple of weeks, and helped me want to stick to it, even though it's that time of year where you're either winning and killing it, loving it, and hungry for it, or even winning and still wanting to go home, or you're just kind of on the struggle bus and trying to figure out how to make it better. So,
yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if you're pro rodeo and amateur rodeo, and if you're out there and you're going after a big goal, like there's struggles, and if you're only human, you know, and as you said, you're a rookie and you're out there fighting a big bad world and trying to conquer this big beast, and doing it alone it can feel lonely, but you're not. You know, everybody who's listening to this is certainly cheering you on and looking forward to seeing you be successful because of your just your willingness to share and to grow is awesome.
Thank you.
You bet. I just thought that was really cool. The gap in the game.
No, I love that. And you know, when I left College Station for the summer, my assistant rodeo coach, Roger Hannegriff, he had bought books for all of us. And I couldn't make the meeting with the team. So I met with him privately, and we talked about the mental game, and he gave me this book, and it was really good. And he had told me, he's like, you know, like, I feel like you've got the best mental game of like most college students I ever see, because you'll be at the college rodeos and you'll be, you know, helping someone in the back, or you'll be laughing in the corner, and they'll be like, all right, Victoria, it's your turn. And you'll just walk up like it's no big deal. And he's like, I just think you have a great mental game. And like, I really appreciated that. And then honestly, I felt like that night, like my mental game just went out the window. Like I get home and like, you know, it was right before Corpus, and Bunny needed a few days off, so I couldn't ride her. And then I got in a little wreck, and like it was just like everything, like it was like the devil had me pinned in a corner and was just had me up against the wall. And so I really appreciated that, and I've been trying to get back to that mindset. And it is hard once you're in that spot of like everything's wrong. And you know, Tammy is always, the Mind Gym is a big book, like a big favorite of hers. And it says, I'm pretty sure it's the Mind Gym. It says in there, like, your brain does not process like negatives. Like if you say, do not hit a barrel going into the alley, all your brain processes is do hit a barrel, because like those negatives don't go through, and like there's a science behind it. And so at some point you've got to decide, like, you are going to go in there and you're going to make a pretty run. It doesn't matter if like hitting a barrel just shouldn't be what you think about. Or so I've been trying to get back to just the positive mindset and where I think I need to be. And, you know, it's just, I stay at this great place in Casper, Wyoming. I love their family so much. It's Dylan and Rachel Whalert. I had talked to her that morning, and I was like, you know, I'm just in a slump. I want to go home. I want to go home. And I probably vented to her for so long. And, you know, throughout the day, that was when I told Tammy, well, I don't want to go home anymore. And it was just like something flipped in me. And I was like, I don't want to go home anymore. And I had Casper that night, and Rachel was like, can I go with you? I would love to take the kids to the carnival. I'm like, please, I would love a distraction. And we had talked on the way there, and she's like, man, when you were talking to me, all I could think was, please God, give this girl the strength to keep going. And like, she told me, she prayed for me right then. She prayed for me when she got to her house. And like, that almost brought me to tears, because that means so much to me that, you know, we're not strangers at all. Like but she's not like I feel like she's family to me, but we have barely known each other. And for her to like feel so compelled to pray to God, and then like that day I felt something flip in me, and I was like, I'm not going home. Like, she was like, girls pray and they go their whole lives and they never have a horse that can get them where you are right now with your horse. And I'm like, you're right. Like, and I could say I want to come back out here next summer, and God might not have that in his plans. I've walked out and, had a healthy horse at 3 and had one and that same horse buried at 7. So if God wants to, he will, but your plan doesn't always line up with God. And that was like, that like touched my heart, because it was like, I felt God in me, and he told me, like, you cannot go home. You cannot go home. You've got this horse. You've got to stick it out a little longer. It takes a long time to figure out these pans. And I've been comparing myself to other people and other horses. And just like, I've had to step back and just realize that God put me here for a reason. And that's like a lot of the reason why I'm like, if I don't think I'm anybody. I think my mare's great. And I think everyone talks to me because they want to know the mare's story. But if I have a platform to just even tell one person about what God's done for me, then I want to do it.
Awesome. And thank you.
Yes, of course.
Chills. Absolutely.
That's what we were driving and I was like crying. She's like, I just went to my house, and right then I'm like, please God, please give this girl the strength to keep going. And I was like, wow, like that means a lot, because something in me flipped. Like, I went to town, and that dealership in Casper was not nice. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't find anyone to fix my truck, and I've got 200 miles until I can't move it anymore. Or that's what they were thinking. Luckily, it wasn't the truth. And I'm like, everything is telling me to go home. Everything's telling me for my brother to bring up a truck here, and we just limp everything home, and it'd be so much easier to go home. And I was like, no, I don't want to go home anymore. Like just, I want to stay out here. And I don't know, that just is so crazy to me. Just how fast God can work when, he wants something like that.
Incredible.
I want to, like, as you were talking about just a little bit ago, having somebody pray for you. One of the things that I read a book, and it's called The Power of the Praying Wife, but we've taken that and applied it to some other areas of life. And one of the chapters in that book, it really talks about just having a group of people that you really trust, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3, of prayer warriors. And I have 2 best friends, and I had never done this myself. So it was kind of a step outside of my comfort zone, but I felt called to do it and to share it with them. And so I got them each a copy of the book and shared with them about like having these prayer warriors. And they're just people that you trust to not judge you, but to just be able to talk to. And when you're having that day, and they can say, hey, what's going on? What can I pray for you about? What can I pray with you about? And we text prayers back and forth. And sometimes it's a phone call. Sometimes it's a FaceTime of just sharing what's going on, what's on our heart. And what's on our heart, what we're feeling isn't always true. There's facts and then there's feelings, and they're not the same most of the time. But just being able, one, to get it out there, like you were talking about, being able to vent and to share with somebody who wasn't judging you, who wasn't trying to say you're right or wrong or anything. And having those people in your corner that you can just call up and say, hey, I need prayers right now. And I feel like for us, we were applying it mostly to our marriages, but also to our friendships and stuff, and our family relationships and life. And it's brought us so much closer together, and you can just feel God in those moments. And so I just want to encourage you to keep doing that. And when you're having those times, like, it's really easy to just get in your own head, but rather than allowing yourself to go down that path, just call that person or those people who you can say, hey, I need to pray. I need somebody to pray with. I need to feel God. I need to get out of my own head. I need to rebuke the devil. And it will be amazing how that can help you through those moments.
I completely agree, because, I've been a Christian my whole life, and I believe in God, and I've seen what he can do. And I've never felt it that instant, like within a day's time of like everything flipped around, and there was no reason for it to flip around. But other than that, everything I had been thinking was just a part of the devil. And I'm not going to say Rachel was the only one who prayed for me, because I know my mom did, and my mom was just feeling so bad. And I was venting to her, and I feel bad about, I was just in a bad, like, it just seems so dumb because like I had a healthy horse, and it was just dumb for me to feel that way. When, I mean, everyone loses. You know, I talked to Casey at Barrel Racing Magazine, and she's like, you know, Emily was high money over the 4th of July, and she still said, you know, I only really placed at 2 or 3. I didn't place at all of them. She just did good at the places she went to. And, you know, you see world champions out there that they don't win all the time. Nobody does. Everyone loses. And, you know, Trevor Brazil, I think, said that even world champions only win 50% of the time. So it's just been, I think I'd been on a winning streak, and I just kind of, not that I forgot what it felt like to lose. You don't ever forget that feeling. But I had been pushed back a few pegs and humbled a little bit, and reminded that, you know, my horse is not a machine, and I think Tammy says critical thinkers. So they don't understand that the difference of, like, you know, I ran her at Sheridan one day, and it was like a very offset pattern, really deep sand. And we drove all night to Salt Lake City, and it was completely different setup. And Tammy's like, she doesn't understand that. You can get her in the arena and you can ride her around, but at the end of the day, she doesn't understand the difference, and you've got to be there to help her. And she's not going to need the same kind of help every time. So it's going to challenge you, because you're not going to know what she needs until right there, and you've got that long to fix it, or, you know, that's just how it is. And so to have people praying for me, even when I don't know that they're praying for me, like, just means a whole lot.
Right. And I think too, you know, one thing that I kind of hear you saying sometimes is like winning. I think sometimes we can get so caught up in winning being the money one. But I think when we focus on executing the process, then the winning and the outcome will take care of itself. If we consider our wins as, hey, I went in there, I adjusted to this setting, I did my best to help my horse, like I stuck to my plan, or whatever the process was that you had prior, that's a win. You know, the scoreboard is what everybody else can decide if they think you're winning or not, but you get to decide what a win is to you. And it doesn't have to be money related, because there's so much more to it than that.
Yes, that's what I was getting so caught up in, was like the placings, and like, man, I was this far off at every rodeo, like, and it wasn't even, we weren't even doing the same thing every time. And that's what I was telling Tammy was bothering me so much. I'm like, how am I supposed to help her if she doesn't turn the first sometimes, and the next time she does? And, you know, sometimes she does this at the second barrel, and the other time she doesn't. Like, how am I supposed to help her if I don't know what she's going to do? And we're still this far off. And she's like, she texted me. I feel like if I could go on my phone, I probably have "be patient" texted to me from Tammy like 7 times. And finally I was like, Tammy, that's driving me to the brink of insanity. Like, I can't hear that anymore. Like, I need something more than be patient, because I've been patient for a month and a half, and it's just not working. And I'm perfectionist, and, you know, I'm very critical, and I'm like, I want to get out there and I want to work, and I want to fix this. And Bunny's not like that. She's a perfectionist, but we don't go much more than a walk on the barrels, just because we've got to level her back down. And so it's hard for me, you know, that can kind of mess up your confidence too, because you're like, well, I can do it at a walk, but when you add 30 miles an hour, can I do it then? And so it was just driving me insane. Tammy's like, get off your horse, like, just get off, go relax, like, quit thinking about it. And even now, you know, when she was here, I never went faster than a walk on Bunny. I would trot kind of what we were working on Quincy, but it was still just, you know, Bunny doesn't, it's hard for me to feel better about it when I can't fix it. That's just how I am. I want to be on there and I want to feel it fixed. And so I just have to learn, like, you know, on the run at Cheyenne, I've got to learn how to do what we've been working on all week at a faster pace than a walk or trot, which is, you know, just, it's hard mentally, but at the end of the day, you've just got to figure it out at some point. But yeah, she was texting me, be patient all the time. And I'm like, at some point I lose all of my patience, and I just want to fix it, and I want to win. And I told her, I'm like, I feel like I'm embarrassing my horse. Like, we're not doing awful, but we just aren't doing great. And I just had higher expectations, and I don't want to embarrass my horse. I want to make her look as great as I think she is. And I want her to win out here. And it's just been taking me a while to get everything together.
You're human.
Yes, that's what she keeps reminding me. And I was like, I was crying, and she's like, Bunny doesn't know that there was a wall at the first barrel or there's a wall at the second barrel. And I'm like, she's smarter than that. Yes, she does. I got her in the arena and I told her she's smarter than that. And she's like, no, she's not. She's a horse. She doesn't understand. And I was just like, I just had to take a deep breath and like relax and just remember, like, she also doesn't know where we're at, why we're doing this, like what the end goal is. She knows nothing but that we're not at 110 degrees weather.
Why it's so important to have such a good relationship with your horse in the way that you and Bunny do, that you know each other in the way that you.
And we, for about a week, we were like not on the right, like she was getting mad at me. She's very sassy, and she's got a personality, and that's why a lot of people don't get along with her. And we were just butting heads for a week, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, come on, like, I'm trying to help you, you're trying to help me. And so, like, it wasn't all perfect. It was like, when you get in fights with your boyfriend, like we were arguing for like a week, and she'd get mad at me, and I'm like, because I would separate them to feed, and she'd get mad, and I'm like, so it wasn't always perfect. Like, she is still a horse with an attitude, and I'm still a 21-year-old girl with an attitude. So we do butt heads every now and then, but I do feel like we know each other well enough that, sometimes she doesn't need to be rode, and I need to get off of her because I'm just going to argue with her, and she's just going to argue with me. But I do feel like I know her a lot better through the summer, and I'm learning so much about her that I never knew before.
So have you been running multiple horses over the summer, or is it just mainly Bunny?
So I have Bunny and Quincy out here. I ran Quincy at the Calgary qualifier too, because you can enter horses, and she did really good. We just were just out of making the short go. And then I kept her in Casper. I really wanted to run her in the last go at Casper since I wasn't making the short go. But I am 99% on Bunny. Just whenever, like when she was out at Reno, I got on Quincy. But Quincy's not, I think her third rodeo ever was the rookie roundup. And that was probably her third perf ever. And so Reno was a lot for her, because Reno's a lot for seasoned rodeo horses. Everyone says that, but you don't know that till you get there. And it is 100 miles to the first barrel. And it is a packed perf. And you're walking through people. And it was a lot for, I call her a colt. She's not technically a colt, but she's probably going to be a colt till she's 9 in my book, because she just is a late mature. And so I ran her at Reno, and I thought she did fabulous. But other than that, now that Bunny's been healthy, I stay on her. I would love to run Quincy more, and I hope next year that when I come out here, I split it more on them. But Bunny likes being hauled hard and running a lot. That's what she thrives at. And Bunny's the reason I'm out here. So I stay on Bunny as much as I can. If she needs a break, I have something to get on. And she'll tell me if she needs a break. But since we've got her better, I can thank Dr. Cody Johnson at Elgin, Tammy, and Dr. Don Lee with Double X for getting her back to feeling good. We just haven't, thank God, we haven't fallen back to where she needs breaks or anything. And she's happy and healthy, and she's like, I want to say she's not running bad. She's healthy, and she's got the air, and we have the pieces. We just haven't put them all together in one run yet. And so I have been predominantly staying on her and jackpotting on Quincy just in case I've got to pull her out for something. But no, I'm a one horse band right now for the most part.
How are you keeping both of them at their best, hauling for such a good time?
Quincy is I never thought she didn't haul good in Texas. So I didn't think it was going to be good out here, but we call her the garbage gut. Like, she gets leftovers. Like, if Bunny doesn't eat, that's her next meal. She drinks like nothing else. I mean, she'll lay down tied up at the trailer. She'll roll tied up at the trailer. Like, if I'm worried that she's going to lay down on rocks, I have to tie her head up. She hauls fabulous. And then I will just ride her in the open arenas, or I'll pony her with Bunny. She's probably not in the greatest shape she could be in, just because I don't run her that much. And then Bunny, a lot of I'm like, I could look at my schedule. A lot of it is, running almost every day. And so when it's like that, I try to stay off her as much as I can, but I was trained by Tammy Fisher, and you get in that arena every time you can. So if she'll be ridden twice a day if the arena's open. And all I do is walk. That's mainly her, I hate it as a, analytical thinker and everything. I want to like trot, and I want to lope, and I want to set everything up, but she can't do that. And so, like, I know we drove all night one night over the 4th, and we ran at Mandan, unsaddled, water, we sweated legs, everything. And then we drove all night to Cody. We got to Cody at 5. I unloaded her from the trailer, and I saddled her up, and I took her to the arena, and I walked her. So the last 2 days, all she did was walk. And so I guess I feel like she's in good enough shape to where I don't need to, long trot her every day to keep her in shape or breeze her. If we have a few days off, I'll get on her, and I'll pony Quincy on her, because she loves to trot, and she will just drag you across the pasture trotting. Either way, if you're on her, if you're ponying her, she will just drag you around. But I feel like the main thing for Bunny is the runs have been keeping her in shape, and I just try to level her back down in between, and I just try to ride Quincy as much as I can. I'm usually, like, if there is an open arena, you will most likely find me in there. Like, I'm gonna drive to Cheyenne today for the open arena, because Tammy taught me football players, they go to the arena, or they go to the field before they play, see the lighting, the turf, feel everything, get the atmosphere in. And with our horses not being critical thinkers, I don't know if it makes a difference. I feel like it does, and I'm going to believe it does, so that I keep going to them. But I get her in, I let her feel the ground, I let her see the fences, the banners. I'll walk the invisible imaginary barrels if I can. And just seeing the setup, and like where the light's shining, and what it's like, what the alley's like. The alley is I fight that a lot on Bunny, just because she's not a calm horse, and she likes to take off from the back 40. And like at Cheyenne, you cannot do that, or you'll be out of horse before you get to the first barrel. And so I try to get her in there and just remind her, every time we're in the arena doesn't mean we're going fast. And so that's mainly her conditioning program. It's not really conditioning, but it's just getting on her in between runs and walking and settling her back down. And, I have to remind her it's a speed event sometimes, but then again, I have to remind her that it's not always running fast, because that's all she wants to do is just go fast. And so I could do better with Quincy. I feel like sometimes I get distracted with Bunny, and I feel bad, because I think Quincy deserves a little better. And I try to find as many jackpots as I can to go to. But I think when I get home and I can focus on Quincy and Clifford, Quincy's going to be in a lot better shape. But, on the road, I talked to Tammy about this yesterday. Quincy has matured more 2 months on the road than she did 2 years in Texas. Like, she is a totally different horse. And so I feel like even at the end of the summer, if I didn't get very far with her in the arena, I got super far with her just outside of it. And she grew up a lot, and she doesn't act like the baby that I left home with.
I really like that you said, that you get in the arena. I think when I was pro rodeoing myself, one of the best things that I could do for my horse was get out there and let him feel the ground before, so that he would know if it's muddy or if it's clay or if it's sand. And I would walk the stakes. You can't walk them on your horse, but you can walk around them on foot. And doing that kind of stuff, I feel like that was a game changer for me in making sure that I also, in my brain and my subconscious, were working for me instead of against me. And I think it also helps you set yourself up for the next time that you're going to be competing at that same arena when you have done more homework than just your run. Then it allows you to visualize it in the practice pen when you are just walking through it or trotting through it and you're at home, and you can say, okay, I'm going to pretend like I'm at X, Y, or Z arena, and this is what it looks like, and this is what the ground's like, and all of that. It helps you run through that visualization, even if you're just in the practice pen at home, to set yourself up for success next time.
I 100% agree. I mean, like, what Tammy and I, like, we'll be going to an arena we've gone to 15,000 times before, and we will still get in the arena, and, you know, I mean, yeah, you can't walk around the stakes. So we walk past the stakes and we go just like to get them to the fence. And I mean, I told Tim, like, there's a college rodeo that I had to leave, like, I think a day early to get in the arena. And I'm like, but I'm doing this because Tammy Fisher just makes me think that I need to get in the arena to win. And she just laughed at that. But I don't know. I am almost in every single arena out here. Like Livingston, I got in. Strong City, Kansas was the one I won. And it had been dry for all the slacks and perfs, and it downpoured like 2 hours before my perf, and they had not drugged the ground. So there was like all the guys from slack had made ruts around the barrels, and I didn't know what it was like wet. So I saddled my horse up and I went in there and I loped her around, and I'm like, this is great. We're going to run. We're going to try to get a check. And then she ended up winning it by 2/10. So I'm the one that gets in the arena, and like Cheyenne, it's not always convenient to, you know, it's not going to be convenient to drive an hour to Cheyenne and then drive an hour back. But if that's what it takes to, you know, place or get me back to the semifinals, then why wouldn't I? Because it's not going to hurt her.
Yeah. And even if you don't, you know that you've done the things that it took to get those results. You know, even if you don't get that, like we were talking about before, that scoreboard that you want, because you can't control what everybody else does, but you can control how you prepare. So I just want to applaud you for doing it. Like, yeah, it is an hour there. It is an hour back. That's probably 3 hours out of your day, 4 hours out of your day. But that's what champions do. They take that time to set themselves up for the best success that they can. And, you know, as long as you're doing that, then the results will fall however they fall. But if God's got it in his plan for you to win, and, focusing on doing that kind of stuff. And for those of you who are out there who are struggling, I think it's really important to ask yourself, and this is something that I even asked myself this morning when I wasn't feeling super motivated. I'm just like, what do champions do? If I'm a champion, what am I going to do?
Yeah, for sure. And like, I mean, if I do bad tomorrow and I didn't go to the open arena, all I'm going to think is, man, if I would have just hooked my trailer up, loaded my horses up and gone, I might have had a different outcome. And like if I go out there, I've done everything I possibly can besides those 20 seconds in the arena, because the alley is long at Cheyenne. Then, you know, what else could I have done besides it just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, exactly. It reminds me of the Serenity Prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And doing things like that, I think, really helps with my mental game, knowing that I did everything I possibly could have done.
Yes.
And that I didn't leave anything on the table.
Exactly. And, you know, there was, I mean, I'm probably going to work Quincy. She goes to the left, but, you know, she started to the right. So I'll probably just work her to the right, because I can go faster than a walk on her. And just, I've been struggling with where my hands and my body needs to be. I mean, at Salt Lake City, if anyone saw me, they probably thought I was like a toddler, because Tammy had texted me after Sheridan. She's like, oh my God, your feet are so far back and your body is so far forward and you're riding awful. And I'm like, so you think I should tie my stirrups forward? And she's like, I mean, I'm not going to say it, but you can. And so I got to Salt Lake City and I tied my stirrups forward with hay string. And so I'm like, if I have something in my trailer or in my head to help me ride better, then I'm going to do it. And, you know, I've rubber banded my hands down. I think it was before Emily did, but I've rubber banded my hands down. I rubber banded them together. You know, anything that I need to do that's going to help me. Because, you know, when you get in the arena, it's alley. Tammy says the alley's like a vacuum. It takes your brain out and it puts it back in when you get in. So you can prepare as much as you want, but when you're in there, you don't always have the most control of your body and your mind. And what needs to be going on.
Yeah, you got to do as much as you can outside of the arena so muscle memory takes over and it's the right kind.
Yes, exactly. And so like when I took off at Salt Lake City, I was like, oh my goodness, my feet were far back because I could feel it pulling on me the whole run. Like, and I didn't have them super tight. It wasn't like I was going to fall off the back because my feet were so far forward, but I would feel it like every time I would go like another stride, I'd feel it like jerk me forward a little bit. And I'm like, she was right. I am riding in the back seat.
Yeah, I heard a little, so like I'm mostly roping now, I use front barrels, but I was doing a clinic one day and I had taken a picture of I thought I was helping a girl because she wanted her left hand, like, you know how ropers will sometimes they'll swing their rope and then they'll pull their slack with their left hand straight out.
Yeah.
Well, if we're roping the dummy, you can still catch it. But if we're on a horse, your horse is going to go left. And so I had wrapped a belt around her waist and around her arm, thinking that would be really helpful because it's going to make her left arm stay in, right? And the guy I do my workouts through, he's a physical fitness trainer and a doctor. His name's Andy Wolf. He's down in Tarleton. And he said, hey, he goes like, I know you're really trying to do the right thing. He said, but that's actually counterproductive. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, because you're reinforcing that motion. Like when you push against it, you're reinforcing that there's something there to stop it. So he said, what you need to do is put tennis balls under your arms. And that way you're used to squeezing instead of pushing. So it will enforce, like when you want to make that move, you'll actually come in instead of going out and chicken arms. And I was like, I would have never, ever thought that.
Yeah, no. I mean, like the rubber bands would just sling me back down and I would feel like, okay, your hands are getting too high. But yeah, that does make sense because like I was pulling and it would just jerk me back and like on my feet and it would just jerk me like back to where I needed to be. But yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah, but then when they're not there, then you're looking for that reinforcement to bring you back down. But if you're using the tennis balls, then you're looking for the reinforcement in instead of out. Yeah. So I don't know. Like I've never tried it riding a horse, but I have tried it roping, and it does make a dang bit of difference.
That's great. Yeah, because like a lot, like what mine was a Band-Aid fix. Like I knew I didn't have time to get on my we drove all night Sheridan to Salt Lake City. And I knew it was a Band-Aid fix because when we got to Salt Lake City, I saddled up and I went to the arena again, just like Cody. And I'm like, this is going to help her walk around, get out of the trailer. And I just tied him up there to feel like I couldn't even feel that I was doing it wrong. But I know I hauled with AC Pinkston and Kalli McCoy. They're also in the rookie race. And AC was just giving me all kind of hell. She's like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. And you know, Kalli was like, let's do this. Like, tell me how I need to tie it. And so it was just funny to have people that are like supporting you, even though they're just laughing a little bit. I was laughing too. I'm like, this is so funny.
Yeah.
But,
that's important.
So what have been your favorite memories made this summer?
Oh my goodness. I have a list on my phone. I hauled with Sydney Graham and it has just been like the craziest. I'm pulling out the list. It has just been the like just so many weird things. I can't even think of what exactly is the funniest. I mean, you know, Canada, I don't know if y'all have been to Canada, but that is like a weird, like you go there and the pumps are weird and the pedestrians, like they don't hesitate. They will just drive in front of your trailer. And I was turning and I had the right of way and this pedestrian just drives right in front of me. But yeah, I don't even know what it's just been so many things. I don't even know. The worst part, I can tell you the worst part was when my dog was taken at Livingston. That got me. That was when I was like, okay, I'm going home. It was the 4th of July. I'm like, I'm going home. The Canadian border agent, or he wasn't Canadian, he was the American border agent. We laughed for like 3 days because he was so funny. We have been stranded on the side of the road because we can't find a place to stay. I don't even know what the funniest thing is. I had a lot of fun hauling with Kalli and AC. It was an all-night drive, which is miserable. But but it was so fun to be with them, and we we're just cracking jokes and laughing about, three blind. Like, it is literally the blind leading the blind. All three of us don't know what we're doing, where we're going, nothing. And it is just three of us blind leading the blind. I don't even know. I think it's hilarious when Quincy lays down while she's tied up. I've never seen a horse do that before. I don't know what the funniest thing. It's just been fun hauling with Sydney. Like, she's funny. And she's my cousin. So, we get along and we argue, but then we're just right back to getting along. And I don't know. There's been a lot of fun. Like, I'm not going to get on here and say that the summer has been awful and miserable and nothing's been good at it. We've had a lot of fun, and there have been a lot of funny memories that, we were probably crying in the moment, but now looking back, it's just hilarious. There's just not one big thing that I think sticks out the most. It, like, all of the funny stories are like, we were crying in the moment. And we had Quincy is like my guard dog. It's really bad. I'm trying to fix it, but she doesn't like horses near Bunny, and she will just flat out double barrel kick. And so when we first left for the summer, Tio is Sydney's horse. He had never been turned out with a horse at all. He's 16, never been turned out with another horse. He'd been very sheltered. And so we set our panels up separately. Like, we would set them around my trailer, and then we'd run a panel through the middle. And every single night for like almost a week at 2 to 3 a.m. on the dot, the trailer would shake and we would jump out. I mean, we would be in pajamas, like straight pajamas, and it'd be pitch black outside. And Quincy would have the panels over, and she had him cornered in the back because he really liked Bunny. And Quincy does not like horses next to Bunny. She is like, they're tied together. We can't tie horses when they're together because she will kick them. And so we have laughed about that all summer, because now they're all three best friends. But for 5 days, Quincy had to take Tio to the corner. We take him to the bathroom, like, parents do with their kids, and just hem him up in the corner and be like, this is enough. You can't look at her. That's been one of the funniest things, because it would just be barely a shake on the trailer, and we would be falling at the bottom, and we would just know immediately Quincy had taken down the panels and gone to Tio.
Do you have any advice for setting out on their first summer run? Bring an impact.
Yeah, bring an impact. Stock up your medicine. The support system, I think, is the main thing. Like, honestly, it's probably the biggest, because when you're gonna feel like you want to quit, like, it doesn't matter if you have Rolo, if you have Sister, if you have the best horse in the business, you're gonna want to come home at some point and quit, because it is not always going to be peaches and roses. And so I think the support system is the biggest. And Tammy never told me don't come home. Like, she never said don't come home. She like knew that she knows me well enough that I'm stubborn enough. I'm going to do what I decide to do regardless. She just said, if you come home, we are regrouping and you're sending me back up there, because I did not train quitter. And so, like, having a support system, I think, yes, like, my family has helped me a lot, but at the end of the day, they have never been on the road the way that I am, or the way that Tammy has been for, I'm sure she's been on the road for 20 years, 20, 30 years. And it's just different when you get out here. And so having someone that has done it before and knows the struggles, I think, is the biggest thing, because I would have been home the second I got there. I would have drove straight home, and I would not have come back. Like, it would have been done from there. And so I think having someone that's just supportive, not exactly telling you what to do, but pointing you in the right direction you need to be in. But I wish I had better advice, but I still have not figured it out myself.
I think that's great advice.
I think your support system and having a strong faith with God, and praying to Him, and just trying to follow His plan is the big thing.
Mm-hmm. I love that you think the support system that is such a big thing in what.
Yeah, and you leave and you just don't even. I mean, I left with too much confidence, and it was I got out here and Bell Racing Magazine was like, "What's 3 things you would tell somebody?" And I didn't even really know my 3 things, and then I got off the phone and I was thinking about it, and I'm like, fake confidence is just so much more important than real confidence, because that real confidence will just go away like that, like one bad run, and it's already going down. And if you know how to have that fake confidence and go in there, even when you feel like you can't, but you can pretend you can for those 20 seconds, 20 seconds, that's more important. This is just my opinion. Like, I've been trying to work on my fake confidence, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to feel 100% confident, like real confidence in my horse, until we start winning more. And so I've been having to like fake it, pretend that I don't, it might even be dumb, but I'm just pretending that if you know how to have fake confidence, you have that with you all the time, because that real confidence it'll go away quick.
Just another perspective on that. Like, I read something at one point in time, and it was talking about how confidence is an action and courage is an action. It's not so much a feeling. It's a thing that you do. Like, you do things confidently. And even if you aren't quite sure about it, you're just doing them confidently and hoping that it works. And I think if we're trusting God to give us that courage and that confidence in that moment, like, all we got to do is the things. We've got to do the actions. We've got to take care of the process and let him take care of the rest of it. And if we have confidence and belief in him, then he will give us everything that we need to follow through with that.
Yes, exactly. And because I was not confident in how I was riding her timid. I wasn't riding her confident. And so I just was like, you know what? It doesn't matter if I like think I can do it or not. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to pretend that I can for those 20 seconds and pretend that I've been winning and just like fake it.
Yes. Well, and I just want to encourage you, like, as we wrap this up, to trust yourself. Like, you've gotten out there, you've gotten this far, you're on the road, and God put you there for a reason, to perform, to share his word, to learn the lessons, to learn about yourself, and to be able to reach back to others. And that's exactly what you're doing. And even if it's not going the way that you have it planned in this moment, that he has a bigger plan for you, and it's all coming together. And one way that I've been trying to kind of look at it is, in traditional sports, they get a next play in every game. And rather than making every single play a game, looking at the summer as a big, long game, and you just got to focus on the next game, or the next shot. Like, just because you didn't make that basket like you wanted to, there's still another shot. There's another shot. And at the end of the day, then you have the big game, and you get to decide at the end of the year, well, did I come out ahead or did I not? And that's just been a really good perspective change for me, is just focusing on, okay, next shot, next play. I
really like that.
Yeah. And that way we take away some of the pressure on each individual run, because it's not each individual run. It's a series of runs combined at the end of the year that matters anyway. And so just because you didn't do like you wanted to, or didn't perform quite like you wanted to at one, doesn't mean if we focus on that, then we can't move forward to the next shot. So
exactly. That's what Tammy's like been preaching, like short-term memory. Like, you cannot dwell on what that last run is. And, I have a horse that's great for short-term memory, because, when I first got her, we have hit all 3 barrels, and the next run qualified for the American semis. Like, she is a very short, like, it doesn't matter what your last run was. She's going to reset back to what she knows. And so she's been helping. Bunny's been helping me with my short-term memory, and like, not dwelling on what happened last time, like what I'm saying, like it wasn't consistently the same thing that we were messing up with. And so I do really like that.
Yeah. But I gotta say, I mean, just what you said, it's you and her both. You went and hit 3 barrels, and then you and her both went and made the American. Like, it's not just her doing it either. You were able to have that short-term memory as well. So you've got just as much going for you as she does. And I know that she's the one that you're riding, and she's the one who has the speed, but you're the jockey, and you're the one that she trusts. And so just as we wrap this up, I'd like to pray with you on here and just encourage you, and then we'll call her good. All right, I'll say a prayer for you. Yes. Lord, today I just want to thank you for bringing us together. Thank you for the relationship that Kalli and Victoria have allowed you to be here in this podcast and allow them both to be here and to share their word and to share their lessons and to just I just want to encourage Victoria to continue going after her dreams that you put in her heart, Lord, because we know that you did it for a reason. And Lord, we rebuke the devil from those thoughts that jump in there and that want to cause problems and give her doubt and fear and worry. And Lord, I just pray that you cover her in courage and confidence and your glory and your purpose and your path, because Lord, you have a reason for everything that she's doing. And I just pray that you protect her horse and protect her and her horses and her vehicle and her rig, and just let her finish out this season strong, and just help her to have that short-term memory loss and to focus on the next shot and the next play. And Lord, just let her know how many people she's inspiring by being vulnerable and by sharing her experience, that it may seem right now like she's in it alone, but Lord, there are so many people rooting for her just because of her willingness to share what she shared today. And I just pray that as she shares that and she gets it out of the world, and that she gets it out of her body and out of her mind, and that she's able to focus on the good things and the good path in your way. Lord, thank you so much for this opportunity, and let her go win. We want her to win on the scoreboard, but more importantly, we want her to win in the process and continue to win for you, Lord. Thank you for everything that you've done for us. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. That was so good.
You're welcome. Well, we're rooting for you, and we know you can do it.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Kalli, you got anything else?
Thank you for coming and being on. I know it's
anytime.
a few weeks for sure, but taking the time to talk to us is great.
Yeah, anytime. Thank y'all for having me.
You bet. And if you ever need anybody to pray for you or pray with you, go ahead and give us a call. We're here for you.
Thank you so much. It really means a lot.
Yes, you bet. Have a great day.
Y'all too. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Rodeo Kids podcast today. We sincerely appreciate you, and we hope that you took something away from this podcast. And probably the most important thing that I think is who you surround yourself with, and surrounding yourself not only with good people, not only with those who will support you and pick you up when you're down, but those who will pray for you. There is just nothing stronger than the power of prayer. And when somebody prays for you, prays with you, the presence of God is so strong, and it's just almost overwhelming that you just can't help but keep going and to trust God's plan. So find those people and make sure to be that person as well. If you know somebody who's out there who's struggling, take that step. You know, that's one thing that I wish with my parents that we would have done more often, is prayed together and prayed out loud. I didn't start doing that until, within the last probably 6 months that I started praying out loud with people and for people, and accepting when people want to pray for me. And it's really just been an eye-opening experience for me. So I just want to encourage you to continue doing that. And we also want you to head on over to RodeoKids.com/scholarships and fill out that scholarship application if you have a clinic, a camp, or an educational opportunity that you are looking to attend. You will not regret learning from people who have more experience than you, or who can just see something that you are maybe missing with your horsemanship, with yourself, with your style. It might just be the tiniest little thing, but guys, I'm telling you, that tiny little thing can make a world of difference. So if you are looking to get that competitive advantage, if you're looking for that educational opportunity, RodeoKids.com/scholarships. We will be giving away our July scholarship next Monday. That'll be on July 31st, the last Monday in July. Once you sign up, if your name is not selected, you're still in there for as long as your clinic is still ahead of the drawing. And then you also have opportunities to apply again after that. If the clinic you wanted to go to has already passed, you can sign up again. So head on over to RodeoKids.com and check out the scholarship application form, hit submit, and pay attention because you might get drawn. Safe travels to everybody. Good luck and God bless while chasing your gold buckle dreams.